Okay, Perkei Mishnah, Yudal, I think, in the Rabbi Herkunus Omer, Shina Shel Shachris. I think it's a Rabbi. Yeah? Yudal. Rabbi Herkunus Omer, he says, Shina Shel Shachris, sleeping in. A person sleeps, doesn't get up early. Mrs. Minion, he sleeps in. V'yayin Shel Tzorayim, the wine of the afternoon, drinking wine. V'sichas Yeladim, the chatter of little children. The yeshivas bata knesias shel amei haaretz, and sitting in the shul, in the gathering places of non-learned people, are motziin es ha'adam min ha'olam. It takes a person out of this world. So what is it about these four things that take a person out of the world? The Rabbeinu Yonah says, so if someone who sleeps late, he's mevatel himself from tefillah b'zmana, he misses tefillah b'zman. Yain shel tzarayim also is mevatel Talmud Torah, because it comes to Averis, he's going to drink, he's going to be lightheaded, he's not going to be learning. Sichas Yeladim, she'oise hashashua moishet libo is b'nei adam al yidei Avasim. Once a person gets involved in a conversation, it's mamish not tachlisdik. Let's say it's not lashon hara. There's no real. Stop talking about, I don't know, at a Shabbos table, different growth in the community. I don't know, different things, like things that aren't really not really so relevant. I didn't know what anyone spoke about this past Shabbos, the meals. I'm just saying, like, things that you can go on and on and on about, in my opinion, in your opinion, and with this shul, and that shul, this Lamivoy, sports teams, things like that. So it's Moishech Leiv Ha'adam. That pulls you can talk about that for hours and hours, and it's Geshmak. What ends up happening, Benim says Torah Mispatelis. But the Torah, hours passed, nothing was resolved, nothing really changed, he didn't solve the world's problems, and the person didn't learn. We'll come back then in a minute. V'yeshivas bata knesset shel amei haaretz, says the Rabbeinu, v'kama rois v'yeshivas knesset. Just to sit in a gathering where there's no real purpose is not good. Moitziin es ha'adam min ha'olam, right? Not just these are bad things, but these take a person out of the world. What does that mean? Ki alman nivra adam, why was man created? Ach lasoik b'Torah. Right? The main purpose that we're here is to learn Torah. So we can't do it the whole day. We can only do the part of the day. But you have to realize when we're learning, that is the tachlis. That's the reason why we're here. This gives us a long life. If a person takes one of these four things, of all these four things, lama loy chaim. So why should he be alive? And he should be gotten rid of. Is what the Rabbeinu is saying. Ki hevelhu, the hevel yamav. His life is purposeless. He's not doing anything constructive. It's hevel. Hevel yamav. V'achas shechaya kama shonim. And he's been alive for a number of years. And he's been involved in whatever he's been involved in. Nothing's benefited him. So he comes on Rosh Hashanah to daven for Hashem. Please, I want another year. But Hashem says, why should I give him more time? I sent you into this world to learn Torah and keep the mitzvahs. And one is not doing that. So why should I give this person more time? Mashal Melech, a parable to a king. Shenasin mea kesef la'avda. He gives 100 coins to his slave. And the slave throws them into the yum, and comes back and asks for more money. So if a person involves himself in these things and he forgets his main tachlis in life, his main point in life, he comes in Rosh Hashanah, Hashem says, why should I gave you a year, I gave you time. How much would a person, Chashem, talk to a person who's sick? What would they give? The richest person has access to a lot of funds to live another day, to live another month. What would he give? Life is the most precious thing. Hashem gives that to us. How do we spend the time? So, for me, coming from Melbourne to here, so the Shabbos Seudah experience is like a big eye-opener. If I can hack a little bit. Right? So, by me, like the sweet spot is 2 hours. 2 hours is a nice amount of time. You can schmooze, get things done, you have a nice little, and that's it, finished. But the meals that go, tell me if I'm wrong, 4 hours? Is that like the average? Yeah?
There are some places, but I hate them.
Everyone keeps it on 2.5. Okay, fine. So sometimes you see people walking back from like very late in the afternoon. It's almost impossible to have a 3-4 hour meal and not speak Dvar Masun. Even a 1 hour meal, you have to be careful, but zikr a 4 hour meal, and just the time goes, and it's a beautiful time to spend with one's family. Forget Torah for a second, but time with the family. For me, when we have a lot of company and the meal schleps, I feel bad because I missed out on my kids. Yesterday, our meal went long. At one point, I took my 3-year-old on my lap, went to the couch, and read her a book. Why should I sit and schmooze with these people for hours and hours? And my kids are running around. I'm not interacting with them. So I went over there and I learned with my daughter, and I read it to my daughter. But that's sichas yiladim, and it's geschmack. It's I enjoy it too. You enjoy the talking, but it gets to a point you must say ad kan until now, and have to come back and have to learn. A person has to realize, a person has to think at the end of the week, okay, what did I learn this week? And it's not about quantity, right? A person should have a goal in the beginning of the week, and at the end of the week, make a cheshbon, a calculation, did I reach that goal? This Rabbeinu Yonah is not like a radical Charedish B'nai Braka, Rosh Yeshiva that's telling you to learn. This is Rabbeinu Yonah, Rishon, on the Mishnayos and Perkei Avos, and he's saying that we can't forget that our tachlis in life is to learn Torah. Which doesn't mean we quit our jobs and sit and learn Torah, but it means that the focus of my day, the focus of my life is what I can gain in Talmud Torah. That has to be on my mind. And I have to be keeping a cheshbon of how I'm progressing in that. That is the chiddush of this mission. And therefore, a person who involves himself in any one of these four things is motziin as ha'adam min ha'olam. These things take a person out of the world. Okay. Any questions? Yeah. Next mission. Rabbi Lazar Hamadoi Omer. Hamachalas HaKadshin, a person who desecrates Kadshin, which is karbanos, the sacrifices. V'hamavaze es ha'me'adas, a person who desecrates the holidays. We'll see what that means. Is that referring to Yom Tov? Is that referring to Chol HaMoed? V'hamalbin pnei chaver barabim, a person who embarrasses his friend. It's called malbin pnei chaver. Makes his friend's face turn white from lavan. Malbin. V'hamefer brisa shel Avram Avinu, a person who is made for the bris of Avram. See, that means Avram Avinu. V'hamagala panim b'toira sheloi kalach, a person who paskins the wrong thing. We'll see how everybody understands that. Afal pi sheyesh biyad Torah ma'asim tovim, one who does any one of these five things, even though he has Torah ma'asim tovim, he's learned Torah, he has mitzvahs in his hand. Ein lo chelik la'olam haba. He has no portion in the world to come. In other words, a person does averas, doesn't get olam haba. Mitzvahs, he gets olam haba. So guys, does a lot of mitzvahs. There are certain things a person can do, no matter how many mitzvahs he has, he loses his portion in the world to come. And we'll see, these are not necessarily the Gimel Chamuras. It doesn't say if someone kills someone, someone kidnaps someone, he doesn't have a Chelik L'Olam Haba. These are big averas, one can't do it. But there are certain things a person does, no matter how many mitzvahs it sounds like in this Mishnah, he has no portion in the world to come. So let's see each one on its own. So Machalas HaKadshin, the Rabbeinu Yonah says, unless you're a Kohen, you can't really do this, is Hamafagalas HaKadshin. Some tamim we can do. Mafagalas HaKadshin is a certain thought a Kohen has as he is offering the korban. The truth is, a Zar can do it also by Shrita. Anyone can shech the korban and have a machshavas pigel. So he invalidates a korban. Or he's matame, he impurifies the korban, whether it's Kadshin, he's better, it's fine. He's machal them, he desecrates them, that's number one. Number two, Mavasas HaMa'ados, Zok Rabbeinu Yonah, it's referring to Chol HaMoed. So he quotes a Chazal that say, Kol Machalas HaMa'ados, Ki'ilu Oived Avodas Kechavim. Whoever desecrates the Yom Tov, it's as if he's worshipping Avodah Zarah, and they bring psukim to support that. Says the Rabbeinu Yonah, this is referring not to Shabbos, not to Yom Tov, Ela Michol Shel Moed, Medar Belasis Biyad Meleches Isser, V'hu Mevaz Chol Shel Moed, he's Mevaz Chol Moed, V'omer Elu Yom, what does he say? These days, Elam Kedusha Kol Kach. The days of Chol HaMoed don't have Kedusha Kiyam HaRishonim, like Yom Tov. V'oisbem Kol Malacha V'to'eva. He does whatever he wants, all malachas, all abominations. Oisa Kol Bush Lo Yovash. He does all these things that he should be embarrassed about, he's not embarrassed about it. So why are Chazal saying that if someone is Mavaz Chol HaMoed, he forfeits his right to the world to come? You would think that Shabbos, Yom Kippur, right, Yom Tov, is much more stringent than Chol HaMoed. But if one's Mavaz the Shabbos, it's a very bad Aveira, he doesn't forfeit his portion in the world to come. What is it about Chol HaMoed that he forfeits his portion in the world to come?
Because it's kind of the Rabbanan, people take it lax, and then you don't take the Rabbanan seriously is what you're saying. I only take God seriously, but
not the Rabbanans, okay. Right? So I think that's it, as well as the fact that Chol HaMoed, it's a difficult time, because on the one hand, it has Kedusha, but also it doesn't have full Kedusha. It's not the same level as Yom Tov, right? Some of us don't wear tefillin, some do wear tefillin. Some people wear clothing a little bit nicer during the week, and some don't. These are halachas that are lav dafka, not ironclad, but it's one of these times where basically Hashem says, okay, I'm giving you a day that's not so clear. It has more Kedusha than a regular weekday, less than Shabbos and Yom Tov. Let me see how you're going to act. Meaning on Shabbos and Yom Tov, the Mishnah is talking to From Yidden. So of course we keep Shabbos, keep Yom Tov. Then Hashem gives us these days called Chol Hamoed, which we can really make of it what we want. In other words, if I treat it pretty much like a regular day, I get in my car, I drive, I do things, so if I'm not really violating any halacha per se. On the other hand, I can turn it into a day of Kedusha. So it's kind of in our hands what we want to do with it. And we mentioned in the past, Hashem often tests us not only in fulfilling a mitzvah that we have to, but sometimes how we react when we can't fulfill the mitzvah. We discussed that the Goyim, the Marn of Zara, lost the Hashem was going to give him a chance to keep mitzvahs and get schar. He gave him the mitzvah of sukkah, and Hashem made it very hot, and they kicked the sukkah on the way out. And they failed the test. The Gemara says, but when it's hot, you don't have to sit in the sukkah if it's too hot. Yeah, but you shouldn't kick the sukkah. So Hashem was testing them when they were potter from the mitzvah. How they act when they're potter. When you're chayiv, so we all take a little bit of we all shake it, we do a mitzvah. But when I'm potter from the mitzvah, how do I act? When it rains on sukkahs, Hashem is telling us to leave the sukkah. How do we act when we have to leave the sukkah? So here also, Chol Hamoed, of course Shabbos, we keep them wearing nice clothing on Shabbos. But Hashem gives us a Chol Hamoed and says, do with it to an extent what you want. And how do we act in a Chol Hamoed is what is kaveh if we get the Olam Haba. So I think that's why Dafka Chol Hamoed, or Mavazas Chol Hamoed, has no chelik in the Olam Haba. Mal b'mpnei chaver b'rabim. So the Rabbeinu says that there are 3 big averos, that it's Yaharek Val Yavu, that a person should be killed rather than commit these averos. One of them is Ritzicha, is murder. So there are these like offshoots of the big 3. Embarrassing a person is an offshoot of Ritzicha, of killing. And therefore, if one does, it's interesting. So for killing, he gets a portion of the world to come, right? But for embarrassing, not. So if embarrassing is the tolda of killings, then kol sheken killing. So you can say the same thing we said about Chol Hamoed, that it's these things that in our eyes aren't so chomer. Of course, no one's going to kill. A person killed, he's a meshuggah or whatever. But ma'al b'nes pechei b'rab, embarrassing your friend in public, it's not so bad. The Mishnah wants us to realize that it's mamish, it's an avizrayu, the ritzicha, and therefore a person forfeits his portion of the world to come. Megala panim b'toira. The Rabbeinu Yonah says, is referring to Zeh HaMeiz panim klape HaTorah lasas averis b'farhesia, who adin the meiz panim klape lamdeya. A person who acts brazen is a person who knows what he's doing, and he goes off the derech. Okay, fine, that's a horrible thing. But if he goes and like the guy who stood outside of Chaim Soloveitchik's house on Shabbos, and as soon as Reb Chaim would leave his house to go to shul, he would light up a cigarette. I think he was a former student in Volozhin Yeshiva. He was definitely a Frum Yid. And as soon as Reb Chaim left his house, he'd light up a cigarette. And that's a meiz panam klape lamdeya, against the people who learn Torah. And therefore, that person loses a portion of the world to come. So this guy was also going around and trying to convince Bachim to go out to follow with him the enlightenment and to go off. And he did something wrong, secularly, did something wrong legally, and the government chapped him, and he was in jail. So Rav Chaim said we have to get him out of jail. He's a Yid in jail, to get him out of jail. So his Baal Batan said, no, we can't do that, because he's a danger. The word Shittim Kubetzis and Ksubas, I think it was, that shows that he's a danger, so there's no mechiv of pidyon shvim, there's no obligation to redeem the captive. He's a danger to other Yidden. So, no, I'm sorry, that's what they asked. The Chaim brought the Shittim Kubetzis as saying that there are so many of these people that are involved in the Haskalah and the Enlightenment, one more is not going to make a difference. That was the kind of psak. So he forced them, this is Erev Yom Kippur, to raise money to get this Yid who lit a cigarette every Shabbos morning as Reb Chaim was leaving his house, lit a cigarette in front of time. Reb Chaim made them collect the money to bribe the guard. The deal was you can never come back into the country. That was the guard's condition. I'll let you escape, but you can't come back into this country. And Reb Chaim made everyone go and collect the money. And it was very late in the day at Yom Kippur, and they had no time to go back to the Sudim Afsekis. Everyone came to shul for Kol Nidre, and they went right into the fast after fasting already half a day. So that was Reb Chaim's azus. Reb Chaim's so he's very stubborn when it comes to these things, and he was poided. But this guy, because that's Reb Chaim, that's the halacha of Pidyon Shuim. But that guy afterwards, I don't know. I don't think there's a happy ending for them. but the point is that if he stayed in his bad ways, it's a bristle story. There doesn't have to be a happy ending. So a mavaza meiz pon of megala pon b'toira shloi kalacha. The person is brazen. It's one. He himself isn't from. It's one thing. If he's brazen against the Torah and those who learn it, he forfeits his portion in the world to come.